What's up, Internet? Day 3 of harvest is done and dusted, and we got quite a bit done today, actually. We got a bunch more map progress, which is what I was trying to catch up on after getting lost in the farming for so long. Not a whole lot of gear changes needed to happen today. It's mostly focused on just farming and progression and stuff. We did hit level 88 in the end. We did pick up Arumi's concoction as well, because now that we're level 88, we have enough points to get down here into glancing blows and sleepless sentries. So we have a base of 30% attack block and 16 spell block, which currently is going up to 66 and 34% with Ruby's up. We'd like to get that qualityed at some point for duration, but it feels pretty good so far. I haven't been playing with it for too long. This was like one of the last things I picked up. But otherwise, the rest of this gear is where I left it yesterday. Haven't had great luck this league as far as drops. I don't think I've been over 50 chaos this league. Haven't even managed to 6-socket this spare soul mantle I have, which have probably gone through a little over 300 jewelers, so unfortunate, but what can you do? The other thing we're trying to work on, now that we have glancing blows, I'd like to come up here next and go into like a 3-point life jewel. Probably going to be using the harvest benches to target craft chaos modifiers and see if I can get a blessed notable here. Targeting with the chaos weights also helps to get chaos resistance in the miners like that too. That'd be a nice bump to our chaos res. Let's go ahead and run one of these random tier 9s that I haven't polished off yet. What are we up to? 86 on the completion. But yeah, I haven't really needed to make any gear changes, it felt like. Our DPS isn't amazing. We're on 5 links still. We have okay wands. You know, we've diverted some skill points into defense, you know, to pick up glancing blows. So, even with all that, I feel like our gear hasn't really slowed us down at this point. Just about to get into red maps, basically. I've probably got like 3 or 4 red maps sitting in the stash where I'm ready to make that jump. When we find our seed cache here, I'll show you. The farming's gone pretty well. We actually have a tier 4 seed already. I just don't have quite enough tier 3 seeds to start its growth, right? I need 4 more tier 3 seeds to surround it with, which I don't quite have yet. If I remember correctly, the modifier on it was like, it's going to grant the ability to lock one affix on the item, kind of like fracturing it, I think. Man, Arcade is a pretty bad map to get for a Legion. With all these stupid walls. But yeah, I feel like I've already been able to tell the difference with adding glancing blows into the build. We haven't had nearly as much of a problem with spike damage, which is usually going to be your biggest problem, especially physical. It does seem strange to me though that the league has been so, it feels like it's really light on currency drops. I'm guessing that has a little bit to do at least with how much crafting we can get done without currency in harvest, so maybe they felt compelled to, you know, adjust currency rates. So yeah, we've got some couple tier 3s here, starting to buy some tier 2s, but I'm getting blocked on yellow life force quite a bit. That's probably the only like frustrating thing I've come across so far with harvest, is that you're pretty bound by your tier 1 seeds in terms of how much life force you can accumulate. And these tier 3 seeds especially really drain it. Like this is a, 48 per cycle, 8 cycles. So that's what? Over 400, there's like 400 life force just for that seed. Look, it's 4 in the morning, I don't want to do math. Point is, all these storage tanks are empty. Whereas if we compare that to what's going on here in blue, we have thousands of life force for this. And it's the same way up in purple pretty much. Got lots of filled storage tanks for purple. But not much I can really do with some of my seeds right now because I'm just blocked by 1. But this was the tier 4 seed we picked up. And it takes, unfortunately, it takes all 3 life forces, and the one that it wants more of is also yellow. So this is going to be a little while before I have a chance to actually start growing this. And it takes 4 adjacent tier 3 seeds, which at the moment I've only got 1 spare. Locks a random modifier on an item. I don't know if this technically counts as like fracturing, or if it uses some other mechanic to lock the affix. I'm assuming it's just a fracture. I also picked up a spare horticulture bench off a pretty large blue harvest I had earlier that I just didn't see anything compelling in. Yeah, as you can see, even on a 5 link and this pretty... Everything here is incredibly cheap. I don't think I paid more than 2 chaos for any of these gear pieces. And we'll be fine in the yellow maps. One other thing you can do weapon-wise is run a Terran Shiver. Something that somebody mentioned in the thread in my chat the other day too. It's a really good low-level item. It'll carry you all the way into early red maps for sure. It's a little bit harder to get the socket space on a Terrans because you're going to have to 6-socket a 2-hander. But a pretty good option. One other option I was going to mention too that somebody was doing in my chat that I thought was pretty reasonable was to move their curse setup into a 3-link over here in their weapon and drop this cold snap cast when damage taken setup, and then use this space to set up a blade blast multiple totems, kind of like what they're doing with Frostbomb over here, right? So you'd basically replace Frostbomb with Blade Blast to get access to Unnerve. And then you just self-cast Frostbomb like we used to, with increased duration and spell cascade. And probably increased area. So you'd basically be trading your cast when damage taken Cold Snap for another active button. And you'd be putting down Blade Blast totems and then self-casting your Frostbomb. And that's not a bad idea either. I'm not keen to add another active button into the build personally, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. It seems pretty viable. As far as where I go from here, we're going to be leveling into this small jewel, and after that, it's going to be a lot of farming and currency, and I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with skill points as I farm up resources to try and get my reflection. We might be coming up here. This seems like it might be too many levels in total. But maybe just coming up here to Throat Seeker if I don't find enough currency to get into a reflection as fast as I'd like. But after the Uber Lab got done today, our life mana totals are pretty balanced. I'd still like to get this number a little bit higher, which is why I'm keen to come up here to this life notable. But yeah, everything's going pretty smooth. I'm still enjoying the league a lot. I've noticed that a lot of people are starting to comment that they're kind of bored of the league mechanic. They think it's kind of, weak. For me personally, I really needed this change of pace, I think, after Delirium League, where everything was just like super high paced and kind of stressful for the entire league. Delirium being in the core game, you kind of get a taste of that whenever you hit a mirror. But I really needed this kind of slowdown. And this is definitely a league where I've progressed a little bit slower than usual. And it hasn't bothered me at all. I think maybe I was just a little bit burnt out of the pace of Delirium. Anyway, I'm just going to wrap this video up here. Everything's going pretty smooth for me. I'll be in red maps tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get that tier 4 seed started, because I think killing that tier 4 is what triggers the final boss thing, where you have to farm red maps. Like killing monsters in red maps charges some extra plant that gets added to your heart garden. I've been trying to avoid spoilers on it, although they were pretty keen to just tell me, you know, when the first person in softcore actually killed the boss, they had no problem sending that to the entire server and telling us what his name was. But I still don't know exactly how to get to it or anything, so we'll find that out tomorrow. Hopefully we can start growing that tier 4. Anyway, as usual, I'll be streaming at twitch.tv/WallachTV if you want to stop by or ask some questions or anything. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.